Hello and welcome to episode 209 of the Thinking LSAT podcast in Los Angeles. I'm Nathan Fox. With me in Vienna, Virginia, Ben Olson. Ben, you went bowling yesterday with the kids.
Yeah. Well, actually, I guess it was 2 days ago, but this bowling alley had the old computers and everything was greasy. Like the outside of the bowling ball, inside where you put your fingers, like the computers.
Sounds legit.
Yeah. They were nice.
Sounds like a bowling alley. I worked at a bowling alley, Ben, in college.
Oh, get out. Really? What'd you do?
Everything. There, well, not the mechanic stuff in the back, but I worked in the front. So
Okay.
I handed out lanes, and we had pool tables and video games and all that kind of stuff. I gave out shoes. I sprayed the shoes.
Yeah, I remember that. Mm-hmm.
I did all the bowling alley jobs. It was fun. It was really fun. I taught little kids bowling camps in the summer.
No way. They have bowling camps?
Yeah, it's Davis. It's a cool little town, but like Davis in the summertime, where it's like becomes a ghost town, because it's a college town. Mm-hmm. But like the professors and stuff, a lot of them still live there, and so they would come. It was like a day camp, and they would like drop off their kids at like 9 in the morning. And we would bowl from like 9 till 11 or something like that. And we like taught them how to bowl. And some of them used the bumpers and some of them didn't. But we like taught them how to do it. And the older ones, we taught them how to keep score. The place didn't have computers, so you had to know how to keep score by hand and all that. Mm-hmm. And then at around 11, another counselor and I would take all the little kids outside, line them up on their bicycles because it's Davis. One of the counselors would be in the front of the line and one of the counselors would be in the back of the line. And we would do just like wagon train over to the Davis like municipal pool. And then we basically, there were lifeguards at the pool. So we were just kind of babysitting really. Mm-hmm. And the kids would just like play around in the pool for an hour or whatever. And then we would line them back up on their bicycles and cruise back to the bowling center. And then their folks would come pick them up at like, I don't know, 1, something like that. But
Wow.
that was the bowling camp.
Okay.
One of the best jobs I ever had, working at the counter because I really liked it when it would get busy. That's what I really liked, is when it was just like happening, and you had to just do all the things. And there was like a line and you're like running the register and you're just like, you have to, that's just like the best for a job, I think, is when it's like really happening,
Yeah.
And you just, like, time just flies. Anyway, today on the show, we have an update from LSAC about October. They are opening some more seats, apparently. So we have an email from them. We have an email, Ben, from a former student of yours who is a current Harvard 1L.
Yeah.
It's just an update from Harvard or what?
Yeah.
Ah, cool. We have a question about applying early, like applying now, or waiting and applying with a higher LSAT score. This is the Philadelphia edition of this question. Somebody is specifically interested in the Philly schools. So maybe we can take a quick look, Ben, at the 509s and just kind of give some advice.
Sure.
We have James's personal statement. James, Ben, from the Vegas class, the dude who did our awesome demon logo.
Yes.
He sent in his personal statement.
Oh.
And he said he's taking us up on our challenge to actually follow our advice and write a decent draft of a personal statement.
Awesome. I'm impressed with anyone who sends in their personal statement these days, knowing what we're going to say. And that, it's impressive. So thanks, James.
Yeah. This is going to air on Monday, September 9th, which means that you now have 1 day to register for the October LSAT. The deadline for that is Tuesday, September 10th. The test itself, the September LSAT coming up after that on Saturday, September 21st. So yeah, you do have to register for the October test before you even sit for the September test. And Ben, are you telling everybody that means that if they're registered for September, they basically should be registered for October as well?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if they're ready for
bummer.
September. Maybe they are registered for September and they shouldn't be, but...
Oh, right. No, I mean, if you're like trying to get your official score on the September test, like I think you need to be registered for October as a backup as well.
Just register. Yep. You'll lose your money if you don't take it, but that's good news, right? It's like when you don't use your insurance People are like, oh, I
Yeah,
shouldn't have gotten it.
exactly.
Well, no, it's good that you had insurance and didn't need it. It sucks
Yeah.
if you need it because that means you got hurt.
That's a good way of looking at it. I mean, it does seem like LSAC needs to come up with a more civilized plan for this, right? Like they must know that because of their own really like difficult deadlines, they must know that tons of people are going to like take September and feel like it went okay and then withdraw from October. And like, why do you have to charge those people? And that you didn't end up doing anything for them. So I don't know. It seems like they should give a more generous withdrawal policy.
They should. Or move the deadline closer to the test and speed up the score turnaround. Especially now that the test is digital, I don't understand the long delay. I mean, I guess it is still paper and pencil in Europe and other places like that, but I feel like those are different LSATs anyway. So
Hopefully they'll start turning it around quicker. Check this out, y'all. Saturday and Sunday, October 12 and 13, Ben and I are coming to teach a live class in New York City. And we are both super excited about that because it was so fun when we did that last year.
yeah,
Class is going to be $395 for 2 full days of instruction. But we are giving generous discounts. If you're a Demon Premium subscriber, you're going to get $300 off of that class. So again, $395 is the regular price, $300 off that for Demon Premium subscribers, $200 off that for regular Demon subscribers. Just a thank you for being a member of the LSAT Demon.
yeah. And if just Demon Premium or Demon regular subscribers come, we'll be happy. I mean, there's hundreds of you out there, and we're grateful for your contribution to the community and everything. So we hope to see you in person.
Yeah, and while we're thanking them, might as well thank them for hitting the ask button. I really appreciate that. I mean, I'll say it again. If you're not hitting that ask button, I don't believe you that you're actually studying. So hit the ask button, tell us what you don't understand, and you will learn faster if you do that.
Yeah.
And make the Demon better while you're at it.
I should add, if you're not a Demon subscriber and you want to come to this class, it would be cheaper for you to just get a month of the Demon,
Yeah.
get the discount, and then come, because that will be cheaper than just paying the full price. But in any case, whatever works for you, we want to see you there, and we look forward to teaching from the Demon in class.
Yeah, I can't wait. Email the show, help@thinkinglsat.com. Send us your selfies when you do that if you want to be on our social media. You can listen to the show a million different ways. Every way that you can listen to a podcast, you can listen to the show. So Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Stitcher, our website, thinkinglsat.com. You can leave us a voice message. We've got links to that on social media. We'd love to use your voice message on the show. Ready to dive into this email from LSAC?
Yeah, really quick. We do need to tell people where to register for the class.
Oh, yeah. thinkinglsat.com/
Class?
class.
I'm like making it up as we go here.
thinkinglsat.com/class. Or, if it's not there, it should be on the front page.
Yeah,
of
you'll find it. Mm-hmm.
So come to thinkinglsat.com and register for the class in New York. Space will be limited. Again, that's October 12 and 13. Sign up now, please. October LSAT. Candidate communication update. Wait, that's not the real subject line.
I think it is.
Hold on. The subject of the email is October LSAT dash candidate communication update. It's a communication update?
I don't know. We'll have to read what this person says, but an update on communication. This is how we're going to communicate with you, and we'd like to update that?
That's a bad subject line.
Horrible.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead, Ben.
Okay, I'll read this. It says, oh, dear Ben. I guess I must have forwarded this. Okay, dear Ben, today we are communicating to all law school candidates that we are continuing to obtain more seats in test center locations daily for the Monday, October 28th, 2019 LSAT. Okay, it's a communication update because they are communicating this information to us. That is
could have just
weird.
said Wait, is this the email that went to you? Maybe this is the email that went to you as an LSAC licensee.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it is. It is. It is.
So they're saying, hey, licensee, we're telling you about a communication that we're sending to candidates.
Correct.
All right.
Correct. This is not the one that they sent to students.
Oh my gosh. So much talking about what we're going to talk about. Yeah. Oh, look at this. Okay, next paragraph. As part of this communication, we are encouraging anyone interested in taking the October LSAT that hasn't who hasn't registered yet to log into their gosh dang it, log in. That's a noun. To log space in to their LSAC accounts to choose their test center and complete registration before the Tuesday, September 10th deadline.
Let's not bust balls too badly on the writing here, because I have a feeling that this was just like, hey, we need to tell the licensees that we're doing this. This is not the email that went out to the public. This probably went out to like 30 people who have an LSAC license.
Dude, that's, you know what I mean? That's like telling an assassin to stop killing people. What? That's their lifeblood. That's their living. You can't tell them that.
I walked past a big fucking truck parked on the side of the street just this morning, Ben.
Yeah.
And it had it was like a big like worker truck, and it had a bumper sticker on it that said, "God bless the U.S. troops." And then underneath that, especially the snipers.
Okay.
I was like, wow. God blessing the snipers. Like, oh, Jesus Christ. Okay. Anyway.
Yeah, that's interesting. I guess you have a strong belief in the nobleness of your cause, which I hope is noble. But in any case, this continues. We are also making them aware that if a test center appears to be unavailable, they can enter the zip code where they would prefer to test, and we will reserve their seat as we work to confirm a test center near them. I'm actually not totally sure I'm following what's happening there. Are you?
Yes.
Okay. What is happening?
I don't want to read the rest of this email. It's too much, and there's no point. And there's no point. Here's what's up, y'all. They are gonna open up more seats. We've already said this on the show. They always open up more seats. They're gonna open up more seats. But the deal right now is, if it looks like the test center nearest you is full, you can get on the wait list. Basically, you can now put a zip code where you would prefer to test. So, like, I've heard. I mean, I haven't checked, but I've heard that there are no test centers available in Utah.
Okay.
So you can put in your zip code in Utah through the LSAC website, and hopefully they'll open up a test center near you if there's enough demand, or if they can find a facility or whatever. So that's it. That's basically it. They're going to open up more seats. Want to move on?
Sure.
Oh, we have a Pearls versus Turd.
Yeah.
Okay. Pearls versus Turds is the segment of the show where we evaluate a tip and trick, bit of advice about the LSAT, and see if we think it's a pearl of wisdom or a turd.
Okay.
So here we go. This is not advice I have been given, just a personal strategy I have come up with. I know when taking the official test, I am supposed to randomly guess for all of the questions I am unable to answer. For practice tests and sections, however, I have chosen not to randomly guess and just leave the ones I am unable to finish blank. My reasoning is because I don't want to get too happy about my higher score when it is just arbitrary. I'd rather be pleasantly surprised by the few point increase on test day. Any thoughts? Thanks, Shelby.
So my only thought is that if you never practice how to bubble, you may not do it until there's not enough time.
Yeah, like can I pile on? Not only that, like, you should definitely be practicing the way you're going to play on test day, which means that if you're going to randomly bubble guesses on test day, you should be randomly bubbling guesses on your practice days. So that's one reason why this is a turd. Another reason why this is a turd is that random guessing is part of your appropriate strategy, and you need to be pacing yourself through these sections with the knowledge that you're going to be guessing. Not that it takes time really to guess. I mean, you just go D D D D D D D, like takes 10 seconds, right, to guess. But that's not the reason why. The reason why is because you need to get used to the fact that those guesses actually do provide value to your score. Because I can just see what Shelby would maybe be doing is like racing through the section with this strategy. Because like, oh, well, my guesses don't count anyway. So I'm going to race through the section and do as many questions as I can. When what you should be doing is just focusing on accuracy and then harvesting those free guessing points at the end of the section. So yeah, I understand. I mean, I get it that like it does introduce randomness into your score results when you guess, but nonetheless, it's part of your score, and you need to just like accept that.
Yeah, I don't mind the bonus idea. I actually think with the digital test, there is a slight learning curve to bubbling. I've heard people talk about how when they hit the 5-minute warning and then they started bubbling, they would find themselves looking at the questions and deciding which ones they wanted to answer, and then realizing that they didn't want to do that. And I just don't want you to be learning any of that on test day. Also, knowing where to go back to. So let's say you get to question 21 and then you bubble in the rest. It's not a complicated process, but you got to go back to question 22 and start answering from there. But sometimes people forget because they just started bubbling, like, oh wait, which question was I on? And then you're looking for that. So let's just make this process seamless so that on test day you're not learning how to do that, or not doing it at the 5-minute warning, right? How many people are waiting until a minute left and then realizing that this takes longer or whatever? So anyways, I would just get your system down and get ready for test day. That's my biggest concern.
Yep. I have that concern, and the other concern that I stated. I have to put this one in the turd pile. Moving on?
Yeah.
Why don't you read this email since it's from your student?
Sure. Hi, Ben. I was in your LSAT class in 2017 and just had an awesome moment at the Harvard Law orientation where I ran into someone who was in your class with me, Adam. It took us forever to remember where we knew each other from, but it clicked for us both, and I got to yell, Ben Olson's LSAT class, all caps. When I finally remembered, we both agreed that we have you to thank for us for being here, and we send our gratitude for helping us, quote, make it. Best, Caitlin. So, actually, I just wanted to include this, not because, I forgot that they said that they wanted to thank me, but really they're the ones who worked their asses off and made it into Harvard. But this little story just reminded me of so many random people over the last 12 years who have met each other in one of my classes and then met up again later. There were two people who started dating for several years after they met in class. There are also people who take the class, and then while they're watching the videos, they hear their friends from previous classes talking in some video explanation. They'll be like, wait, I know that person. So the connection is kind of cool to hear. So I wanted to share that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I threw this on the agenda today. It's someone sent this through my website. I thought that it was timely, so I figured I'd throw it on the agenda. It says, I'm studying for the LSAT for the second time. I went through the Test Masters course in the spring of 2018 and wasn't satisfied with the program. I found that I was spending too much time diagramming or focusing on unimportant pieces during the LR and RC sections. I ended up with a 157 and decided to continue working for another year. A few months ago, I decided that I would start studying again and apply to law school to start in the fall of 2020. I'm enjoying my studying much more with the Demon. Specifically, the ability to just drill and drill and drill and do sections has helped me to simplify my understanding of the LR section. In just a month of studying, I've already seen my highest practice score, 165. I didn't sniff that in my first round of studying in 2018. I'm registered for the October LSAT. I want to go to law school in Philadelphia and am mainly focused on Villanova and Temple. Temple being my top preference. 157 is in the median range. The median range. Okay. For Nova and low for Temple. My GPA is above the 75th percentile for both schools. Anyway, I write all that to put in context the following question. Should I still apply in September to both of these schools and other reach schools? I was told by Temple that applying early definitely helps in the application process. I'm wondering if I should wait to see if my score gets above 160, more in the median range for Temple, before I apply. In short, I'm trying to weigh the benefit of applying early with the benefit of waiting 3 months and having, hopefully, a better LSAT score. Thank you for your attention to this question, Sam.
Definitely wait.
Quick thoughts? What's your gut say?
Wait.
Yeah, wait.
100%. I don't feel like applying after the October LSAT, even though it's after Halloween, is going to hurt you that much, but you're going to be enormously benefited by getting a 162 even. I mean, he just got a 165, so I don't think a 162, let alone a 160, is hardly unreasonable. He may end up with a 167, get a full ride to these places and other places.
Yeah, you could call him and ask, but I mean, normally there's two things that can happen and neither of them help you. So the first thing is if you apply now, they might just evaluate you with your 157 and it sounds like, you could easily get denied
at least
at Temple especially. Yeah. You're probably going to get into Villanova. You could call Villanova and be like, hey, listen, I'm a 157 and a 3.8 or whatever it is. Do you want me to apply with that now or should I wait? Because I am taking it in October. But they might just evaluate you with the 157. I would think you're still going to get in at Villanova, although who knows, right? Mm-hmm. But I would think that seems like, hey, above 50th percentile or at the 50th for LSAT and above the 75th for GPA, like unless you really fuck up your personal statement, I would think they would still admit you. And then you could probably just renegotiate the scholarship later if you retake the LSAT. At Temple, I could see them just denying you.
Yeah.
Which then, I guess they probably have like an appeals process or whatever if you retake the LSAT. But then again, that's a pain in the ass. Like, we always say you should just wait to apply until you have your best LSAT score.
I think that applies here. And
I do too.
The thing is, if you know that you can do better and you get accepted to Villanova, well, they're probably not going to give you as much scholarship as they would with a 160 or higher, and which seems very likely for you. And so then you're just going to wait until you apply to Temple, or you should, at least for Temple, and then you're not going to be able to make a decision on Villanova until you hear back from Temple. I just feel like your concern, it sounds to me, like is that applying early is going to help you a lot and applying later is going to hurt you. But I think that they're saying that because they just want as many applications in as soon as possible.
Oh, yeah. They want to get their hooks into you.
So you're listening to them and you really shouldn't be. They have an ulterior motive here.
Yeah, totally. This is taking law school admissions advice from law school admissions.
Yeah.
Which we were talking about last time. It's like you got to think about their incentives. And yeah, of course they want you to apply as soon as possible. The other thing that might happen to you is that they might get your application in and then see that because they can see your record, like your whole LSAC record, including future tests that you're registered for.
They will see that and they'll ask you if you want them to wait sometimes.
Or they might just wait.
Yeah.
They might just be like, no, you're taking the LSAT again, so we don't want to evaluate you right now. We're going to wait for that other score, in which case you have no benefit from applying early. So fairly clear here?
Yeah.
We agree?
Yeah.
Just hold off.
There's also a downside to applying. I mean, we've talked about the fact that, you already talked about some downsides, but here's another one. By not focusing on the LSAT because you're half focused on sending in applications, maybe you walk away with a 160 as opposed to your 165 or 167, which would be earth-shattering.
Do register for the Credential Assembly Service. Do request all your undergraduate transcripts through the Credential Assembly Service. Do request all of your letters of recommendation. All those things that take a long time because they're out of your hands. You definitely want to do all that stuff. When you need a break from LSAT studying is a great time to do all those things.
Yep.
Personal statement as well. When you need a break from LSAT studying, you can certainly write a shitty first draft of a personal statement or go back and edit that shitty first draft and make it slightly less shitty. But you shouldn't be like, no, if you're the LSAT is the thing. I mean, and boy, like we need to really emphasize this. You've got a 157 on record, but you just scored 165 on a practice test.
Yeah.
Like those are not the same candidate at all. And if you could bump that up to like 170, I mean, you now become like I would think that's like an auto full ride at Villanova.
Well, I don't know that you'd even be considering these schools anymore.
Yeah, you might change your mind about Philadelphia.
Yeah.
We don't know what, Sam's personal reasons are for wanting to be in Philly, but it's like, there's some pretty damn good schools in New York that are not far away. And, who knows what your limit really is. It sounds like you didn't, you've just recently started using the D-Min and it's working for you, which boy, it really works. And so the sky's the limit. So why would you sell yourself short by deciding on these two schools right now?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Ooh, personal statement time.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
All right. Subject, James from Live Vegas class, personal statement and update. Do we want to read this email? Oh, this is a decent... Oh, yeah, okay. Hey, Annalisa, Nathan, and Ben. This is James from the Vegas class. I did the Praise the Demon design. I wanted to give a quick update and accept your challenge for a goodish personal statement. My statement is short, 611 words. First, an update. I scored a 174 on the July LSAT. No thanks to test masters and a big thanks to the podcast. Oh, cool. Live class.
We're not trying to shit on test masters this episode, by the way. These just emails popped up. But.
Oh, wait, look. So no thanks to test masters and big thanks to the podcast, live class, the LSAT demon, Nathan's tutoring, and Satan.
Awesome.
Okay. That's great. As an agnostic, I have to say I'm not confident that he's helping you or that he exists, but glad that you turned to him.
As an atheist, I will tell you my hypothesis is strongly that he does not exist, but I'd much rather hear you jokingly praise Satan than like honestly thank God. So anyway.
Oh, I'm agnostic on that though. Okay. Anyway, so my first LSAT was a 157. The big turning point for me in my LSAT prep was I changed my mindset. I decided I was going to understand what was being said, push through the mental anguish, and not give up. I realized one of the reasons I was getting questions wrong is I was lazy.
Oh, wow.
So pause here for a half second. I don't know if you were lazy. You thought that it would be easier to do it the way you were doing it. You were seeking the path of least resistance, which I think is a smart strategy. That's how we need to survive in this world. But you realized that that wasn't the path of least resistance. The path of least resistance is actually pushing through the shit and seeing the light of day, right?
To actually understand that shit.
Yeah.
But I want to like give James some serious props here for like taking that on board, that like, no, yeah, you were being like intellectually lazy. You were allowing yourself to read shit and not really understand it. Mm-hmm. And that's just not going to get it done. Like, I mean, sure, you can get a 157 like that. That's fine. Like a 157, I mean, yeah, you lots of stuff you didn't understand. You just picked answers that just didn't answer questions. And because you just kind of got lazy, sloppy, and that's how you get yeah, sure. That's how you get a 157. But this is just awesome that he decided to like push through it and just force himself to really understand it.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times in my tutoring sessions, that's what it basically boils down to, is me like kind of yelling at people like, wait a second, what's that say? Mm-hmm. Okay. What does that mean? okay, like you can figure it out, but you do have to like really, you have to wrestle with it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just not okay to be, well, like this sloppy, you know, it's it's lazy thinking.
Yeah.
So anyway, that is awesome that he like, I really do like it when people take my advice.
Yeah. He continues, Nathan told me to try harder, and that's what I've been doing. My PTs, by the way, are practice tests. My practice tests are now consistently in the 176 to 178 range, and I am confident going into September. So James has decided to retake the LSAT despite his 174 on the July LSAT. That's interesting. Okay. He must be shooting for Harvard and Yale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
because
he just thinks he can do better.
In retaking if you're above the 75th percentile in a lot of these cases. So
well, depends where he wants to go. Depends on how shitty his grades are. I mean, we don't know what his undergraduate grades are.
Mm-hmm.
If he can do better than a 174, I don't know, man. More power to people. Like at Harvard, Stanford, Yale, it makes a difference.
Look, I'm not opposed. I'm just saying it's a surprising score for a lot of people right out there to hear someone retaking. That's all. And just trying to understand.
Yeah.
But look, he's scoring higher. He's going to do better. So that's awesome. He says, second, as a resident of Arizona, I fully endorse everything Nathan had to say about how much Phoenix sucks ass. Okay. Jeez, we're going back to this again. On behalf of the Thinking LSAT podcast community, I apologize for anything that might have been said. Anyways, finally...
That's an Arizona resident saying it sucks. So,
therefore... The opinion of one. Thank you, James. Finally, if you have a chance, I would appreciate it if you could destroy my statement on the show. I have listened to all your episodes, and I recognize my first sentence could be better, and I have a few wordy sentences. But other than that, I think I have followed most of your other advice. There are no adverbs. It is pretty much all action done by me. I read the statement out loud, had someone smarter than me read it, and ran it through Grammarly.
Wow.
Okay. I would call this almost my final draft. Here it is. Personal statement.
Okay. Got my hopes up. In the summer of 2017, while working in the mailroom of a law office in New Hampshire, I seized on an opportunity that, by the end, had me convinced that seeking a law degree is the right choice for my life and career. James knows it could be better. I mean, the thing that I like about it is that it's actually like starting with some facts. You know, like he's working in a mailroom of a law office. Okay, good. I don't like that it's so long.
I think that he's trying to like pique our curiosity here by saying I seized on an opportunity that M dash by the end M dash had me convinced that seeking a law degree is the right choice for my life and career.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't like the ambiguity right now.
No,
I want more.
Also, no one ever needs to say that you're convinced that a law degree is the right choice for your life and career because you're applying to law school. So we know that that's what you think
you should do. Yeah.
Like you need to just go ahead and show us why that's true. You don't need to say it's true. You could just show us the actual goods here. And
yeah, ironically,
let us reach that decision.
Ironically, this has the effect of highlighting your potential doubt and
completely
bringing us into that like decision process. Like, maybe
yeah,
like you should act as if it's obvious. Like, yeah, this is the natural step forward.
I mean, one of our personal statement services clients right now sent a draft in that I was looking at yesterday. Mm-hmm. And he has been out of undergrad for a while, and he like for 10 years, and he has kind of a like I'm going to say sketchy. It's not sketchy. It's just that he's having a hard time explaining his path. And he kept saying over and over how he's like always been on this path toward law school, that it was a childhood dream. And he's just, all these things he's been on the path. But it's like the facts are he's not at all been on the path. And the more you keep saying I've been on this path, the more I'm like, well, where's your evidence for that? And then it's like, no, this thing has nothing to do with that. So now why are you, it's like, it's just protesting too much. Right. And it's like, and so then it just definitely has the exact opposite of the intended effect. So that's, yeah. If we write a book, Ben, about personal statements, which we've been talking about doing, and I've had people encouraging me to do, if we write a book about personal statements, I was thinking about maybe using like no conclusions as a title or part of the title.
Yeah.
Like one thing that people do wrong so often, they especially do it at the end. They do it at the beginning and the end, I guess. They just they feel like they have to have an introduction and they have to have a conclusion. And you don't need that. You just need the facts.
Yeah, it's funny. There was a statement we were working on the other day, right? And the whole statement was fact, because you had helped them get to that point.
Yeah.
And I was going through it, and then it's like they felt this need to tell something more. It's like there's something inside of them that they want to say that's not being said in the facts in their minds. And so he added something like a paragraph at the end, and all of a sudden it just went off the rails. And it was like, I want to save the planet and all this stuff. And you're like, whoa.
People are used to just 7th grade essay writing where they have to have a really heavy-handed introduction and heavy-handed conclusion.
Yeah.
And we don't want that. We want the facts in the middle.
Yeah.
So anyway, this first sentence probably can just be cut. Like it's just like so often is the case with these personal statements. You could just start like halfway through your first paragraph, or a lot of times just get rid of your first paragraph and just start in the middle of the actual story that you're going to tell.
Yeah. Oh, and looks like James is kind of going down this road of like showing us how he got to whatever situation led him to decide to go to law school, as opposed to just throwing us into that situation. We don't need to know how you got there. We don't really care that you decided to accept a job or whatever. But anyways, let's see what he says.
Yeah, and I don't. It's like this isn't. He is trying to tease us here with like, this was the moment, or this was the opportunity that convinced me to seek a law degree. But it's like, I just don't even care that that's going to be your conclusion. Just tell me a story. Like, what I really want to do is just see what you've done. Like, just get me into you doing things.
No, yeah.
So
the conclusion
this
that
opportunity
we want is that you're a badass worker, that you get shit done. And so if you want to start with a conclusion, say this: I'm a badass motherfucker and I can get a lot of shit done. And now let me tell you how I'm going to let me show you that, because I'm going to prove that to you. And then we just cut the first sentence. We just get rid of that at the end. Right?
Cut it out. That could be the first sentence and the last sentence. The last sentence is like, as demonstrated above, I kick fucking ass.
And then we're like, okay,
great.
No, cut them and you're good.
Yeah, just cut that because you've demonstrated it, and I just will reach that conclusion on my own, which is so much more powerful.
Wait, this is kind of interesting. Right. Maybe this is a strategy. Remember your peanut butter analogy? Someone in class was mentioning it the other day, and they were saying, "Oh, yeah, I like it." So you have your peanut butter sandwich, and the 2 pieces of bread are like, "I'm a badass," and worker basically. Some people might misinterpret that, and then you just take those 2 pieces of bread off when you're done. It's like, okay, now we see the stuff in the middle. That's a little gross, so the analogy doesn't work too well because most people don't eat sandwiches that way. But
also, you can't really take apart a peanut butter sandwich, so this analogy is really falling apart badly.
So then you throw it away, just like you should your personal statement. Sorry. Okay.
We should maybe use this, though, in our service. Which, by the way, if you're interested, thinkinglsat.com has all the pricing and everything. But for the service, maybe one of the exercises we should put is like, okay, we're giving you the first sentence and we're giving you the last sentence.
Yeah.
All you have to do is fill in the middle.
Huh. Maybe so.
Okay, my bad. So that was the first sentence, which probably can be cut.
Yep.
It started with a phone call. That can be cut too.
Yep.
We just get to it. Get to it. Not the too much ramping up here. Let's just get to it.
Yep.
The voice on the other end was a former classmate.
No, James. No, this is like too cinematic.
Yeah.
Hello.
It's cinematic.
It was Allie.
Also, I think that sentence is wrong.
Yeah, the voice was a former classmate.
No, it wasn't.
From a former classmate.
It was the voice of a former classmate, but the voice was not a former classmate.
Holy shit.
It was a former classmate on the other end of the phone, but the voice was not.
Wait, hold on. James does
former
worship
classmate.
Satan or something, right? Like, so maybe he's hearing things.
Why didn't Grammarly catch that?
I don't know. Maybe it's not that smart.
That's a strike against Grammarly.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, let's get to it's like the engine is just crank. It's they're just trying to get the engine started here, and it's just cranking and cranking and cranking, but there's no spark yet. All right. She requested I join the committee of a nonprofit that hosts conferences which provide networking and fellowship opportunities to young professionals in my home state of Arizona. I accepted. So this is the job offer.
Yeah.
Why do people always put the job offer?
I don't know. We've talked
They
about
love
this.
putting the job offer. They love putting interviews and job offers and accepting job offers.
I don't know.
This is like the 10th time that we've yelled about this.
Yeah.
I don't care. I know that you accepted the job because it's on your resume.
Well, if you're doing
I know
it-
that it was offered to you, and I know you accepted it.
Yeah. If you showed up, like, I don't know what you're going to do at this nonprofit, but if you started talking about what you were doing at an event, we'd be like,
I would
well,
assume-
he must have. Did he just break in? Is he a nonprofit crasher?
Now this is back to that peanut butter thing, bud. The peanut butter sandwich.
Yeah.
This is like, I woke up in the morning, then I put on my pants, then the telephone rang, so I went over and I answered the phone by pushing accept. And I said, hello?
I'm providing a lot of I did this sentences.
Yeah, I mean that's good, but it's also like this is like a whole paragraph of just like getting out of bed.
Yeah.
Like let's get to the work part. Like let's see what you did at the job. Okay. This is at a conference. Wait, this is a committee. You're joining a committee of a nonprofit that hosts these conferences. Okay.
Which provide
At the
networking
first-
and fellowship opportunities to young professionals in my home state of Arizona. I don't know too much detail.
Yeah, we got to get to work. Like right now, all you've done so far is accept a job. So I want to see what you do at the job.
Yeah.
Okay. At the first committee meeting in Tucson that fall, I vied for and was elected to the position of accommodations chair. The crux of my duties involved securing a venue for the conference and hotel accommodations for over 2,000 attendees.
We had this build up too in a statement we were just working on. Whereas like people are telling us, or the person was telling us about what he needed to do, as opposed to just telling us what he did. Like, oh,
Yeah,
the job involved finding all this stuff. It's like, okay, why don't you just tell us that you're finding this stuff?
This construction here too, the crux of my duties involved.
No, that's weird.
Like, don't put the crux is the subject of that sentence and involved is the verb, instead of I secured a venue and for conference and hotel accommodations for over 2,000 attendees.
Then you're like, wow, how'd you do that?
But no, instead of James doing it,
Yeah.
the crux of his duties involves doing it.
Yeah.
Okay. I had a strict budget of $10,000. I like that sentence is short. This figure needed to cover facility rentals, technical equipment and support, labor costs, and food and beverage expenses. Man, $10,000 for 2,000 attendees? $5 a head?
Wow.
This is some like water out of wine shit. That's amazing. Okay. Wait, water out of wine. Wine out of water. Loaves and the loaves and fishes and all that shit.
We're getting really religious today.
Since I had never done a project of this scale before, I sought the guidance of the 3 previous accommodations chairs.
Drum roll.
During my...
Sorry.
What don't you like about that?
Well, it's just like more like, I don't know, build up.
Yeah. Asking for help, I suppose, is good, but I'd rather hear about the magic you were able to pull off.
Yeah.
Okay. During my crash course, I learned the standard terms and specific language utilized
James.
in hotel contracts. James, did you just use my least favorite word?
Yeah.
Oof. Also, hold on a second. I'm very confused, Ben. Ben, you've signed contracts for facilities before.
Sure.
You actually went to law school. Mm-hmm. Do you give one shit about the standard terms and specific language utilized in hotel contracts?
Nope.
Do you ever read that shit at all? So James is like he's getting accommodations for a conference, but he's learning the legal terms for hotel contracts. Why?
I have no idea.
This definitely sounds like you're wasting time. This is now edging into like pretend lawyer shit. Like, oh, this is a big deal. This is appropriate for my law school personal statement because I had to look at the specific terms and language, standard terms and specific language that are utilized in hotel contracts. Like,
I saw how one clause was linked to another clause and the legal implications for that. So I decided I'm going to pursue law school. Yeah.
Yeah, like there was an arbitration clause in the thing, and I was very concerned about that. And then I realized that the hotel doesn't give a fuck, and I can either sign their contract or not rent from them. You know what I mean? Like, what are you going to do? Like, really renegotiate their standard contract? They do these things all day, every day.
Well, I'm going to say this about contracts in general, too. No one cares about the entire contract. All they ever care about is 1 or 2 lines that maybe dictate price, right? They go, oh, yeah, what amount are you going to fill in that line? And everybody's negotiating over that.
Yeah. What's the total? What is the bottom line number?
Yeah.
How much is this going to cost me and what am I going to get? Like, don't give me the rental fee and then also give me the mandatory minimums for food and beverage or whatever. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah. I understand that you have all these stupid scammy ways, but like, what's the number on the bottom line? Mm-hmm. You know, that's like the only thing that really matters in all this. And if James is like actually reading through these contracts, that's just, I don't know. This is not having the desired effect.
Yep.
Okay. I also studied previous contract proposals to understand the facility requirements and the associated financial liabilities for a conference of this size. Having done my due diligence, I was ready to begin approaching prospective venues. You know, listen, you're not the first person to do these conferences. You talk to the 3 previous accommodations chairs. I would think you would ask them, where'd you guys do it? How much did it cost?
Yep.
I don't understand the need for this due diligence. It's very confusing. Okay. I reached out to the 10 largest venues in Tucson, of which 5 were capable of supporting a conference of over 2,000 people. After touring each of the 5 facilities, I returned to the committee bearing brochures from each that were rife with glossy photographs of sparkling swimming pools and beautiful desert views. The group selected a preferred hotel in an accessible downtown location. This strong preference for only one venue with no other alternatives in the area presented a challenge in negotiations.
I'm still baffled by the $10,000 limit. How would any of these facilities be like, sure? It's probably more of a burden to them. Anyway.
I couldn't walk away from talks and sign with another venue if we reached an impasse. Oh, well, you know what, though? I think I know how, Ben. Because they must sell a lot of hotel rooms, too. So there was also like a minimum of
But wasn't he seeking hotel accommodations as well?
No. Well, yes, but he's not paying. That's not included in the 10
Well, if
grand.
that's the case, then yeah, they'd be happy to take their 10 grand to get a lot more
Yeah.
people. But anyways, okay.
But he's like overselling it a little bit earlier with the $10,000 budget for 2,000. I mean, I guess it's obvious that at $5 a head, that does not include a hotel room. But anyway, okay. There were several sticking points in negotiations with our preferred venue. The hotel insisted we purchase a minimum of $2,000 of food and beverage directly from them with no outside refreshments permitted. Yep. Also, the venue would not provide discounted rates for meeting space rentals. Lastly, the initial contract proposal included a fee if we did not fill a set number of hotel rooms. These terms were not unreasonable. However, as a representative of a nonprofit, I had a duty of care. Oh, no.
You're not fighting for your duty. You're just fighting for your organization.
Also, that's like he's like throwing in the quasi lawyer shit.
Yeah, fiduciary duty.
I had a yeah. That's like, dude, you're not a lawyer. Just stop. Just don't talk like that.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're trying to do the best job you can. And what difference does it make if you're representing a nonprofit or a for-profit?
Yeah, we all are trying to do the same thing. Like,
your job is to get the best deal you can for whoever you're working for. And the fact that it's a nonprofit, I don't think has anything to do with it. But then you just definitely, this language of I had a duty of care is like, no. Okay. And my job was to decrease our financial liability while receiving the best terms possible.
okay, wordy way of saying get a good deal.
It's also just like, no shit. That's what we've been talking about since the very beginning.
Yeah.
We understand that you're negotiating a deal here. This is like way brutally overselling this negotiation.
Yeah.
I chose not to accept the terms as offered, and negotiations stalled. I adopted a new strategy. This is like he's brokering peace in the Middle East or something.
The warring tribes set down their weapons.
Oh my God. Okay. I drafted a contract proposal that contained the optimal terms we sought and presented it to one of our non-preferred venues. Once the non-preferred venue showed interest in signing, I returned to the preferred hotel with an official contract proposal that proved we could get the deal we sought elsewhere. By leveraging competing hotels, I was able to negotiate a less restrictive contract. The preferred hotel updated its bid to include no fee for empty rooms and a sliding scale for meeting space rental costs based on attendance. We also compromised on the food and beverage restrictions. By agreeing to purchase prepackaged snacks from the hotel, they waived the $2,000 minimum and allowed us to use a third-party vendor for beverages. The hotel signed the contract, and the conference went on with sold-out attendance. Our total financial responsibility to the hotel came to $1,500, a full $8,500 under budget.
Wow. I mean, I don't like all the overselling. I feel like you did something cool here, James, but I feel like by drumming it up so much, it's like we're expecting like Jesus to come down, right? Or Satan, somebody. And all we see is like a cool car, which is neat. It's like, wow, you did a good job here. But I feel like this is an example of an instance, not a personal statement. Something, something's off.
He's taking our advice to focus on, like an achievement, something he did.
We've said that a million times.
But he also picked a thing that I think he thought sounded like lawyer shit. And in truth, it's not that much lawyer shit. Like, this is something that we would have an assistant or whatever sort out for us. It's not this is not a lawyer job. This is hey, can you call 10 hotels and get us a deal on a room?
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, even the fact that he comes in $8,500 under budget is like,
It's almost too good to be true. It's like weird.
Yes. And it's also like, hey, do we like really believe that like, boy, he really pulled a fast one on this hotel? I got to think that the hotel, like they make their money somehow, one way or the other. So they ended up making it off of your conference attendees. Like maybe they just raised the price for the hotel rooms. Like you could have got, instead of this, you could have got a discount, a better rate on the hotels, bulk rate, whatever. I don't know. There's just so many ways that this.
Yeah, like I have a very like uncomfortable feeling right now after reading this.
Right. It just doesn't. I don't know. I don't think that this is having at all the effect that James thinks it's having.
And I think one of the reasons for that is because of the buildup, oh my God, let me tell you this thing that happened. And then it's like, what? And it's like, my friend came over yesterday. It's like, oh, okay. and what? I'm just not, I was anticipating more. I think this could be a paragraph. And you say, for example, last summer, blah, 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 I did this. And then this year I also did this, like as part of a broader narrative.
Totally. Like, I want to hear other wins rather than like an entire personal statement about this one deal.
Yeah. So, okay, we've been giving people this advice a lot where we're saying we're going through their personal statement and they're glossing over like lots of things. And it's like, okay, wait, hold up. Let's just take one of these things and expand it and talk about that. But here, and this is what we had the problem with the last personal statement we read, is like people zoomed in way too far. So we need that sort of happy medium where you're telling enough to the reader that they're like, oh, cool. They get the idea. And once they get the idea, you move on. We're going to have to keep working on this until people get that right sense. But here's an example of something that's too zoomed in. Or maybe there's more to say here and James is just not talking about it, because a lot of these sentences are like, okay, and then this is what I had to do and I did it. And this was the result of me doing that, as opposed to just, this is what I did. And then I did this and then I did that. So
his final sentence says, legal training will help sharpen the tools I have already begun developing, whether I continue working with nonprofits or take on new challenges in other fields.
I don't like the legal training will help sharpen the tools I have already begun developing. It just sounds self-congratulatory. It should be something where the person is concluding on their own that you have sharpened tools or that you have already begun. They look at your statement, they go, oh, wow, look at you. And you don't need to tell them.
Yeah, and I really don't like the pseudo lawyer tone of this whole thing.
Yeah.
The acting like you're a lawyer negotiating a contract thing is just like, I think everyone who reads this from the schools is going to be like, oh boy, this guy thinks that he's doing lawyer shit and he's just not.
Yeah.
Like you just don't. I don't like it when people try to. When I do say like, hey, do professional, like let me see professional shit, and like when I say let me see lawyer shit, what I mean is let me see you just kicking ass in business or kicking ass in the workplace.
Yeah.
Kicking ass at whatever.
Yeah, I think people have misinterpreted that. And that makes sense. I mean, we got to figure out how to clarify what we're saying. And I think when you say lawyer shit, I've always interpreted that as hardworking.
Yes. Detail oriented.
Yeah. Like competent, can
kicking
solve
ass.
problems that other people, that's what lawyers do, right?
Right.
Well, good ones. There are a lot of bad ones, but good lawyers get paid a lot of money because they come in and they help a business or a government or an agency grapple with a complex problem. They're like, we got these legal challenges. How do we get out of this? And the lawyer says, oh, this is what you do. Smart ones, right? This is how we can maneuver in the system that we have, and this is how we can get out of it. It's not literally contracts, and
right.
Not that it can't be. It certainly could be if that's legit, but it's like you're saying, James and others have tried to reach for any connection to actual legal work. And that's not what you mean by lawyer shit. You mean hardworking.
Yeah, and this could definitely be a like one part of a personal statement, but it's like, I don't know. I mean, the thing you had to solve here was like, how do I get conference space with available hotel rooms for 2,000 attendees? My budget's 10 grand. That's for the conference space, dude. That's for the conference rooms and maybe the food and beverage. That's not for the hotel accommodations. You just need to make sure that the hotel has rooms. I don't know. I would think that first thing you do is you call around, you spend an afternoon calling all 10 of these places and say, you want a quote. Then you get the quotes and you start comparing the quotes to each other.
Yep.
I don't think you need to be like going to the law library to like look up contract provisions.
No, and I don't even mind someone saying that they read the contracts to make sure that they understood exactly what they were agreeing to for their organization, but you're making it seem like you did so much more than just make sure that your ducks are in a row. So then that's what you were talking about earlier. It's the overselling.
Yeah. I would like to see another take on this. I would cut 80% of this.
I think it's going to be a one paragraph piece of a larger personal statement.
I'd like to know a lot more, like what other stuff like this, or just what other stuff, period, did you do? This is just for a volunteer thing. Which that's okay, but...
What? Yeah. It's weird, though, too, because he's like, I vied for and was elected to the position of accommodations chair. You make it sound like there was this big competition. My fear is that it was actually 5 people in a room and someone's like, does anyone want to do this? And you're like, yeah, I'll do it. And they're like, okay, sweet.
Right.
Thanks, James. That's why we asked you.
Yeah, I mean, if there's more, like if there's more to it, like that you had to campaign and whatever, then I guess you could talk about that. But like, yeah, otherwise it's an awful lot of overselling.
We'll get
Seems
there.
to me.
We'll get there, James.
Yeah, we will.
And we'll get there. And by the way, we love your shirts. I wore it last night to class, and people always ask where and how they can buy them. So.
Yeah, thank you, James, very much. If you want to send in another draft, we would be more than happy to give that one the treatment as well. There's useful stuff here, but there's a lot of fat too that needs to be cut here.
Yeah.
Very common. That again, saw one yesterday. Somebody who does our personal, is a client of our personal statement service, and they had sent in a draft that, they were, okay, here we go. I'm ready. This is my draft. And it was like, well, okay, we're going to cut out like the first page of it, and we're going to cut out the last half a page of it. And then this one paragraph right here where you're talking about this one thing, let's get more about that, like a lot more about that. More details, more facts, more, I did this, I did that, I did this other thing. Let me see you kicking ass in this one thing, because the rest of it was just all this like editorialization about I've wanted to be a lawyer since I was 14 and blah, blah, blah,
Yeah. Well,
there's always something there we can use, but people have a hard time getting to it.
I just want to take a half second to tell anyone who's thinking about writing us and asking for a discount on that service. We get these emails all the time, and people are like, well, my statement's really good. It just needs a final look over. So can you discount your service and just look it over? And unfortunately, we always have to say no, because that's never the case. Even in for these candidates who have high credentials elsewhere, right? James is doing extraordinarily well in the LSAT, and I don't know what his GPA is. Did he say his GPA? I don't think he did. But when it comes to writing about yourself, it's hard, and people just don't know what to say.
Well, and this is like James, he tried hard. He's listened to every episode of the show. He knows us. He knows how we are. He knows how critical we are. And he thought, he says at the top here that he expects that this is, he did all these things, right? No adverbs, read it out loud. Someone smarter than him read it.
Yeah.
ran it through Grammarly, he says, I would call this almost my final draft. And I would call it a good start, kind of.
Yeah.
But really 3/4 of it has to go.
And there's nothing wrong with these awful first drafts. You've got to write them. You've got to get the ball rolling. It's impossible for us to work with people who can't write anything. I don't know what to write. Well, you got to write something, and then let's start going from there. We'll find something in the...
Yeah, and this isn't awful either. It's just misguided. A lot of it needs to be cut. I mean, the awful parts are when he used the word utilized and a couple broken sentences. But it's not awful. It's just like he definitely put some thought into it, and I appreciate all that effort. Like, it will pay off if you keep putting that effort in. But we need to hear more job stuff. And if that means that this nonprofit is not the right thing to talk about, you could totally talk about your law office, or I think James has his own business. Like, you talk about anything.
Well, and maybe if it's part of a larger narrative, I could totally see something where you say in one paragraph, last summer, while helping at this nonprofit, and you name the nonprofit, I helped negotiate this deal, and this is what the challenge was, and you explain that, and it's a paragraph, right? You take all the pertinent facts that you've just told us, and you put it into one paragraph. All of a sudden, you make it seem like a throwaway idea. You're like, oh, by the way, I did this.
Right.
And first of all, people are like, wait, what? You worked for a nonprofit outside of everything else you're telling us? Now all of a sudden you sound like, that sounds like lawyer shit. Like, oh, I have a job. Exactly. And by the way, on the side, I helped this nonprofit.
And in like 2 sentences, you say, I had to arrange a conference space for 2,000 attendees with a budget of only $10,000. Ended up being able to get it done for $1,500.
Yeah.
And then you just move on to the next idea.
Yes,
and you
act like it's not a big deal
for itself. Yeah.
And then it sounds like, oh fuck, that's a big deal. But now because you make it such a big deal, we're like, what? And it's like, oh, that's all it is.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Totally. All right. Thank you again, James. Happy to read another draft if you can stomach it. We'd love to take another look. Let's see. I think we're going to wrap it up there. Just want to remind you that we are in business. You can go to thinkinglsat.com if you want to sign up for our live class in New York City coming October, what was that, 12 and 13?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
October 12 and 13, we are coming to New York City to teach a class. It's going to be really fun, and it's going to be really, really helpful. Can't wait to teach with you again, Ben. It's always fun to get in the classroom with you.
For sure.
You can check us out on Facebook. We've got a very active Thinking LSAT podcast group there. We are at Thinking LSAT on all social media. I'm on Twitter at InFox. Ben is at Olson Benjamin. You can go to strategyprep.com to learn about Ben's classes in DC, foxlsat.com to learn about my classes in LA and San Francisco. Each of us have one-on-one options. Go to lsatdemon.com. Remember that you're going to get a ginormous discount on the New York City live class if you're a Demon subscriber. That's it. That was episode 209 of the Thinking LSAT podcast. Thanks all y'all for listening. Nice knowing you. Don't pay for law school.